Hi, my name is Sally Barnard, an artist, author, and spiritual experiencer. Welcome to Call Me Zena, a true story into the spiritual realms. Join me as I sit and discuss the journey of self-discovery, and with the help of my spirit guides, it's time to trust your intuition. Sit with me and call in live 888-994-4995, Studio A. And now onto the show.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to my show. I'm going to do something that I don't usually do. I'm going to open the show. It's about dimensions and the 5D dimension, and also parallel lives and timelines. I cannot do this. I have to get into my certain aspect of who I am when I start talking. Please call in. I know I have one special guest calling in at about 5 or 10 minutes, but I just want to read this to you. And actually, to me, this explains the 5D. I could not do this better, even though my spirit guides might not like me saying that, but I have to say this. It's entering a 5D earth, what it really means and how it actually happens. Entering 5D Earth, and by now, you guys, I could explain a little more, but it's a higher dimension, and I know anybody that's tuning in right now is probably more familiar with my show than I even realize. Entering 5D Earth isn't about escaping this world, waiting for your solar flash, or earning a spiritual badge. It isn't a reward for being awake enough. It's a lived shift in consciousness that happens right here inside this life, inside this body. 5D Earth is not a place to go, it's a state you hold. You can be in the same town, the same job, the same relationship, and experience an entirely different reality because your inner posture has changed. You start living on autopilot. You stop outsourcing your worth. You stop feeding systems, beliefs, and dynamics that require you to abandon yourself in order to belong. The transition into 5D begins quietly. It starts when the old ways stop working. The distractions no longer soothe you. The noise feels abrasive. The mask feels heavy. The lies, even the polite ones, become unbearable. Something inside you demands alignment, not improvement. This is where many misunderstand 5D. 5D is not love and light floating above reality. It's embodied truth, walking straight through it. It's clarity inside of comfort, responsibility instead of blame, discernment instead of reaction. Love is a choice, not a reward. So how does one actually enter 5D Earth? It starts with radical self-honesty. You stop pretending you're fine when you're not. You stop spiritualizing avoidance. You stop bypassing the signals your body has been sending for years. Anxiety becomes information, not a flow. Exhaustion becomes guidance, not weakness. Your sensitivity sharpens truth, is now louder than tolerance. Then comes responsibility, not guilt or shame, but responsibility as power. You recognize that inner state is shaping your experience more within external events. You stop feeding fear loops. You stop rehearsing worst case scenarios. You stop giving your energy the narratives that keeps you small, reactive, and divided. The nervous system becomes the gateway. This part is rarely talked about, but it is essential. You cannot hold 5D consciousness in a disregarded body. You learn to slow down, to breathe fully, to stay present with sensation instead of escaping it. Safety becomes internal, not something you chase through people, substance, or constant motion. As this stabilizes, boundaries form naturally. You begin to say no without explanation. You leave spaces that drain you. Relationships thin out when you build an obligation and control, shared trauma instead of resistance. This can feel lonely, but it's clean. What remains is real. Integrity becomes non-negotiable. You can no longer say one thing and live another. Your body won't allow it. Your soul won't tolerate it. Your thoughts, words, actions, and values are required to tell the same story. This is coherence, and coherence is the foundation of 5D. This shift doesn't make life easier, it makes it clearer. Old identities fall away, roles dissolve. What's false becomes unbearable. What's real becomes undeniable. You still experience grief, anger, fear, and uncertainty, but you move through instead of defining you, but they move through. Entering 5D Earth doesn't come with fireworks. It arrives the moment you stop abandoning yourself. The moment presence becomes more important than performance. The moment truth becomes more important than approval. 5D Earth is now being lived now through grounded humans who choose awareness over anesthesia and coherence over chaos. And once it begins, there is no going back. I just love that. It really, really rang very deeply to me and to people that ask me, where is the 5D? It's here. So now I open my audience to questions and to anybody that wants to call in.
Sally, that's so interesting. So if people want to call in, they can call in at 888-994-4995 at Studio A. Give Sally a call. We're going to turn up our volume, our ringers, our phone lines, so they can give you a call and ask about 5D, which I found really fascinating. Where did you find that?
Well, actually, Pam, my friend who is, well, I say my Facebook friend, but we've got to know each other very well, who is going to be calling in. A friend of hers had written it on Facebook and she posted it. I said to myself, I have to read that. It explained so much. And I will come forward with this because I know that I am certainly taken over. I'm dyslexic. And as a child, I couldn't read out. I could read, but you get the words if you know anything about dyslexia. And I've come forward to talk about dyslexia too, because I'm taken over. And one time, if someone had told me to read this, I could understand it and I could read it to myself, but not out loud. So I've made myself do these things. So that's another thing I want to actually mention. Oh, I have a call. Okay. Hi. Hello.
We're going to transfer it over.
We're transferring. Hi.
She's not the caller, which is really interesting.
Yes, but we'll maybe we'll
Hello.
talk before. Hello? Hello?
Sally, can you hear me?
Not really.
Let me turn it up. Sally, do you know
I
who
don't
it
want
is?
to lose the momentum of this because it was so good.
Can you hear me?
Hopefully, I think, is this Pam? Wait,
Yes,
I
it
don't
is.
know. Okay, hi, we can't really hear you yet. We're just putting on a speaker in here so I can hear more. First of all, hi, how are you? I hope I did that article
doing good,
justice.
thanks.
It was amazing. Okay.
You did, and the funny thing is about that.
Yes. I mean, I can hear you now,
the
Pam.
gentleman
Everything's
that
fine.
wrote that,
Yes.
his name is Zachary Fisher, and he also has dyslexia.
Oh my God. And I have never, ever mentioned dyslexia out loud. And it's only recently that I've started, talking about it. No coincidences, right? Synchronicity.
There are none.
I am getting goosebumps when you said that. Isn't that amazing? Yes, I'm glad you shared that, Pam. Thank you. Because I said to myself, this is ridiculous. I know I can read this out loud. And I did. And he's dyslexic. How amazing. Okay, well, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So I thought maybe for the next few minutes that we can, I know that you're very able to discuss this, and I would love for you to share a little bit, just maybe for a few minutes, on what we just read. I read, because it's so explains the 5D.
It does, and one of the things is there are people that still think someone's coming to rescue us.
Right.
We have a lot of belief systems that are going on right now. And those belief systems keep people centered in what we call their loops, their time loops. Okay? Time loops are 3D, where 5D is embodiment of all of it, remembering and bringing it back into unity.
So what I
Does that make
love,
sense?
yes, absolutely. And what I loved is so many people think, yes, we raise our vibrational energy, but so many believe that we're actually going somewhere else. And this explained so much in detail that we're not going anywhere else. We can do it right here and now, correct? And
That is correct. And
to share with an audience of people that we have, you know, I think it's so important to even understand that itself.
the longer that a person is alive in this particular timeline, this one happens to be a merging one that is bringing everything back into unity. Okay? But I want you to think of like a clock that has gears in it and they're constantly spinning. That's
Right.
how people are spinning their realities back and forth.
You know, thank you for sharing that too. And I know it's only a short time that we can talk, but I'll definitely at another time have you as a guest, Pam. I would love to do that for a longer conversation. But it's amazing how this all came about, and the fact that I read that you had posted this, because you know, sometimes when someone else tells you something, I only know what I know, as we all do. But I've been thinking very much that maybe it isn't a place, and this rang true to me. But the fact that the synchronicity involved with even just this one conversation is that we're on that 5D level, because why would all these other things be taking place? The fact that you even said about dyslexia. And I think if we can just in this short space of time that we're talking, get over to the audience that there is so much more, right? And the timelines. I had talked about this show 3 days ago, and I mentioned to you, Dawn and Freddie, that that's what I wanted to talk about. I don't often usually know my subject so much, maybe just before I come in. And it all fell into place. And the fact that you're now on the phone is very another, you know, I mean, we'd had this conversation that you're going to call in. But if you could just
The
maybe
more
share.
time that you spend in 5D when you're doing meditation and staying in that space, the more clarity you get. But when you come out of it, and you know, right now we're interacting, we're going back and forth between 3D, 4D, and 5D, those of us that are on the path, because we're walking in and out of dimensions and other people's reality. Okay?
Right.
And this is where the boundaries are coming in, where you're realizing, you know, some of the issues that people are demonstrating, you don't want to be involved in them.
Right. Yeah.
Pam, let me ask you a question.
When you start observing it,
Pam, can I ask you a question? It's Dawn.
please.
Going between, let's just explain to people the difference, because it's a little confusing. 3D versus 4D versus 5D, because you said, Pam, people are walking in and out of them.
Right.
What is 3D
Okay. I
versus
want you to
4D?
think of it. 3D is this physical, material reality that we're living in.
Okay.
Okay? It's literally materialized as matter. 4D, the lower fourth astral, is, let's say, that's where they oversee good and evil, where they see the duality of our creation. Okay, every day we're making choices. That's what free will is, right? And so in the making those choices, that determines what your realities are going to be, and the people you're going to come up in contact with, and the people that you're going to associate with. It is a frequency type of thing. You will come in contact with people that match your frequency on some level. You know, you either need to learn something or need to be taught something by them, and so therefore you're in each other's field, so to speak. Okay? And that's all part of the 3D learning. Okay? Then when you get to 4D, that's where they're overseeing the choices that you're making in 3D to decide where those loops take you.
All right, and then we
Whether
go to
you
5D.
go
Yeah. So my question to that would be, for the audience too, that we're in and out of 5D right now. I mean, even by doing this show, we've reached a higher frequency. But I think when you finally, if you'd agree with this, Pam, that when you finally, I mean, you're not getting it because you're starting all again at a different level, but when you finally escape from here, maybe with the chaos, and you reach that other level, let's say full time, then you stay in 5D to learn much more to then ascend to the next dimension, correct? Is that a good way of saying it, or would you
That would be a very
something
good
else to
way of
add?
saying it. Now, the people in the higher dimensions always have the option of coming down. It's kind of like a penthouse, okay?
Right.
You have the keys to get up and down, but the people on the lower levels don't have the keys to get up until they clear whatever they've created.
Right. So, again, I mean, as I know you followed my show a little bit, you're probably familiar with my guide that showed himself here, Aldo, when I talk about him a lot. Would you say someone that came to teach me over the last, now close to 20 years, I guess, he passed transition 3 years ago now, they come from a higher dimension to give us material, which he told me that I had, but it was dormant, to awaken us. They are here to do that.
That's right.
Right, yeah. I feel like he's talking me, telling me to tell you that. Right.
It's sort of like passing a baton. Okay?
Right.
You know, I know when I, started having a flood of memories from all of the timelines and all of the things that I had done and what I was doing, it was, quite unnerving to begin with. But, when it started balancing out, I had a list of people that I was supposed to work with.
Right.
In one of the quantum feelings of being sent back in here, it felt like, it's hard to put words to. You have to watch a time travel show for me to give you, a sort of a reference with it. But the landing, as I'm coming through the tunnel, I can hear them shouting certain names at me to meet up with and, help so-and-so and help so-and-so. And,
right.
By the time I got through the helping the so-and-sos, I'd seen little, think of a trailer to a movie. I was shown a trailer to a movie that showed all these different situations. And then I get here and I'm navigating those situations.
It's not easy, is it? I know that.
It was not at first, I want to tell you.
I do want to mention that you are a shaman, so that they know that that you have a wonderful knowledge and knowing, as Aldo would always say, of these things. And but then again, to relate you kind of to what Aldo did for me here, he also said to me that he had been looking for me since he was actually, which you'll understand this, from a year old, because he was reading newspapers. He was in Peru. He was a baby, and yet he knew that he had to find me somehow. And we are directed to people of a higher vibrational energy will find us, I believe. Correct?
That is exactly correct. When you are supposed to meet, and you may not know when you meet,
right,
the reason for the meet. And some people will go through some incredible things so that they end up together. I mean, I'm with my husband. He is my third husband, by the way.
Same here.
And that's what I mean by you go through situations until you find the people you're supposed to be with. And it's not that you weren't supposed to be with the other people. You learned lessons. Both of you learned lessons or didn't. And when you stopped learning together, you shifted out of each other's lives. And, if you can look back and say, you know what, I felt terrible. I mean, I carried guilt about some of my relationships for a long time, until I discovered, this was the reason behind it, the growth. And then when one or the other stops growing, you start going in different directions.
But then I feel, which I talk about on my show too, which we talked about, Dawn, especially being here in the studio, the people that I am or you are attracting, once you're on that higher frequency, let's call it, it's a dimension or even the frequency, you are going to attract those people because I don't know how many of my shows you've listened to. I know you have been following me, and I thank you for that. But many people walk into the studio. When I first met Russ, as we had mentioned just before, was 3 years ago. I was writing a book, and he just happened to walk into the room that we were talking. And I became very, very friendly, and also was a guest on his show many times. And it was about aliens. Well, I was really ready 3 years ago to open much more of myself into knowing and understanding what had happened to me with aliens. So the teacher was there, who I considered at that time was way ahead of what I actually didn't know that I knew, came into my life too. And it's like we all kind of find each other. I truly believe that. Dawn, but I do want to thank you, and I definitely would love for, I know we have questions here, but I thank you very much. I don't want to cut you off in any way, but maybe we'll devote an hour and you're my guest and we'll talk more fully about this, Pam. So
we certainly can. Thank you for having me today, and have a good rest of the show.
Thank you. And I'm not cutting you off by any means, because you have so much information that I want to hear, but we'll arrange another time. But I know you have questions. Yeah, it is absolutely fascinating. And thank you so much. I appreciate your input.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pam. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
So it was interesting.
Really interesting. How did you meet Pam?
Well, actually, it was through Mindy, who's not, she had mentioned that she had this lady on Facebook, and that she felt that we had communication, that we should talk and have more communication. And we did, and we started talking, and I'm sure you're maybe still listening, Pam. And it became very, to me, but I was stubborn, and Pam knows this too, so I'm not saying anything. Because I meet so many people here, and you get a phone call or a text from someone, it's not that I'm being rude, but I don't always have the time to be able to always answer back the call. But something said to me, you need to talk to Pam. And you were very, if you're listening, Pam, very persistent, which I'm very grateful for, because she would text me from time to time. And it turned into this, and I'm delighted that I actually have now talked to her. I haven't actually met her in person, but she's very knowledgeable. Very knowledgeable.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Really interesting for people to understand. The fifth dimension, I guess, is just a whole other level.
Yes.
What does it mean to you, the fifth dimension?
Now it's actually becoming even more clear, because it's right here from what I got from what I read. It's the second time now, so it sunk in even a little bit more, is that you really don't have to go anywhere. It's happening here right now. And that shows itself by the people that come into your life, because you're on, which we've talked about often, Dawn, that higher level of vibrational energy. So you're going to meet people that do relate to what you're saying. And you know what? That's a relief, because there's so many people here that think, and it's still, and I was at that point too. I'm not criticizing anyone for their beliefs, but they think you're crazy.
Well, you saw what happened today, right?
Yes, absolutely. And even on your lunchtime show, the three of us, Freddie, yes, and I'm sorry that he's not here listening to this, but there's so much that we open our minds to, and the three of us, Russ, yourself, and I on your show, was an amazing conversation, because the crazy part about this, and it makes it even more real, is that everything that Russ was talking about, and you, yourself and me, we didn't discuss it, and yet we all understand what we're talking about. And that's part of what I believe the opening to the 5D dimension.
Because I think people realize, granted, everybody is different, but there are people that maybe are starting to realize the things in their life that have always set them apart, that they laughed, oh, that's just me, I'm quirky, I'm this. You're not. You're part of another realm, of another family, another DNA line, as you say, the royal bloodline.
Yes.
And the more we talk about it, I think the more we expose people that there are other options, there are other conversations to be had.
Absolutely, 100%. It's the awareness of people, even if they don't understand it, at least you're putting it out there. And there may be a day, it could be tomorrow, it could even be in another lifetime, because we don't forget. Because I've done drawings from other lifetimes Oh, I heard that even on Sally's show, on your show, in the midday show. It's that awareness to know truthfully that we're not alone with our thinking, and that's so very important for people that are maybe just beginning to open up. Again, I was lucky because not lucky, I believe that it was planned, that I had Aldo to lead me through this, and I want to reciprocate that with people that are just beginning. We found each other, Dawn. If I hadn't have opened up maybe to my show, we may never have had this conversation, but I knew that my show had to be about, well, not just this, but other spiritual aspects of living.
So do you think by you coming in here and us meeting and things that I had known, seen your paintings and all that, that's a fourth or fifth dimension?
It has to be. I do believe that, because if you go into that even a little more deeply, look at the people that have arrived in the studio. That vibration doesn't have to be just in this room. That vibration travels out into the outside, and there's like they call it a calling. It's like a come to the Brooklyn Cafe. Literally, that's what's happened. Look at the amount of people that I have met here that have this same thinking. And you can go a whole lifetime and not meet somebody, but they've accumulated. It's like the meeting place for this. We've accumulated here. Very important. It's a great thing. And I wish that Freddie was sitting here.
It's interesting because the more and more as days go on, people that have been clients a long time ago coming back, do you still have the spiritual channel? Do you still have the faith-based? I'm creating this and I'm creating that, and it's growing.
Yes, of course, and it will do, because you're putting, even if you think just going out into the airwaves, that's what we're doing without having the show here too. We're putting that out because that frequency is touching the people that are meant to be coming in here. I mean, yes, I've been stubborn. I was stubborn overcoming here, but I got here, and within a year, I think I was doing my book. Russ comes in. I mean, I know he's in and out of here, but the fact that he is even here, that I met somebody that, that Russ was doing a show, and I became a guest on his show several times. And it had, if you're open, it will happen. It does happen.
Do you want to why don't we take a commercial break and then come back and do questions?
Beautiful. Yeah, I forgot that we have the questions. Okay, I see you back. And I always love saying this on the other side of this show.
A true story, Call Me Zena, is the telling of Sally Barnard. Born in London, England at the end of the Second World War, she came into the U.S. in 1979. A mother of two and a grandmother of four, she settled in Florida and worked in real estate. While going through a difficult time in her life, she was admitted into a hospital overnight in December of 2005. While settling back into her life, she began having vivid dreams and documenting them. By the third dream, a lady gave her a message to draw. With no artistic background or interest into art or history, Sally listened to her dreams and grabbed a paper and crayons. Today, she has over 150 pieces of inspiring art and poetry. This book follows her journey and interpretations of these messages. She describes in detail how she is able to astral a project and who she has met along her travels, including her spirit guides. This book will show you how anything is possible with an open mind. These events have changed Sally's life and direction, and this book will show you how to change yours. Purchase Call Me Zena on Amazon today, authorhouse.com and amazon.com.
Thank you for joining me through this journey of self-discovery with the help of my spirit guides. I'm Sally Barnard, and you can find my book at authorhouse and amazon.com, or visit my art on my clothing in my boutique at artbysallybarnard.com. Now back to the show.
Hi, welcome back, everybody. I know, as much as I'm so tempted to look at you, Dawn, I think I have to look that way, but you know what, the airways bring whatever you're saying back to me. So we have questions.
It was really interesting. You're talking about dimensions and timelines, reality shifts. So you have a lot of questions coming in. So Maria from Boca, she writes, I woke up one morning feeling that my life had subtly changed. Same people, same job, but I felt different. Could that be a timeline shift?
100%, I'm sure, because I had the same experience. I was one person one day. I was a different person the next day, but my surroundings, from what I remembered from the other being that I was at that point, not knowing all this, suddenly so much was happening to me. I'm in the same place. And that's changing a timeline or a frequency, what we were talking about. And I believe, yes, you're on a different frequency. You're the same person.
But how do you know whether it's personal growth and you're feeling I've either outgrown a situation, I see things differently, or it's truly a timeline shift?
Because it will continue. I think the synchronicities start kicking in. You're suddenly seeing things that were always there, but you hadn't noticed them. So your awareness is waking up to it. That's what I'm feeling they're telling me to say. You're becoming much more aware of the unseen because it was unseen to you, but doesn't mean that it wasn't there. That to me makes a lot of sense, even me saying that to myself, because I'm noticing more things. And that happened when I began to wake up, although I didn't know it 20 years ago. My first recollection of that is walking outside, because I was in sales and I used to do a tour around the properties. Suddenly I was seeing flowers and trees that the color was so vibrant. I didn't really know what had happened, although Aldo eventually did explain everything. I'm going, I feel so different. So
do you feel like that's an awakening?
Yeah, it's the beginning of the awakening. Yes, absolutely. So anybody that may be tuning in right now, it's a gradual process. Absolutely. 20 years later, I am where I am, but I've had help, because even with that happening, you're going to feel something about you feels different, even if it's just looking at colors. Mine was very much colors because I started to paint. And trees even seem like I had cataracts in my eye. The only thing that I can explain, if you've had cataracts and you've had them removed, everything is much different color. Well, it now is emphasized even more when you start going into that 5D aspect of everything.
Is 5D almost a validation of who you know you are just coming to fruition?
Yes, because we will all do this. But our timing is what there is no time, but we set time. So when you're ready, you say, now is the time. So I believe in this particular lifetime, let's call it the lifetime, I was here to wake up to everything that's happened to me, as many of people just listening to the show already. Otherwise they'd say, why are we listening to this? I have no interest. So that interest point will show you of things that you're actually doing. So you can say and question your own self, well, I'm suddenly interested in all this. Whereas somebody else would be watching the show. And there's nothing wrong with that either, because we're all at different levels of timing, not different, we're all here, but we're at different stages in our lifetimes.
And you would tell Maria then, lean into this.
Absolutely, 100%, Maria. Definitely.
All right, Jason from Austin, Texas. It's probably pretty cold there right now.
Yeah.
I keep thinking about a decision I almost made a year ago. Sometimes it feels like another version of me did make it. Is that possible?
Yes, because on another level, which is really difficult to understand, there are other versions of ourselves. And I learned, and even now I'm beginning to see some of the things that Aldo did tell me are beginning to really sink in, because there are other aspects, I can say personally, of myself. And he believed, which he did tell me later, I wouldn't have understood it in the beginning, that I switched a timeline, but I brought the higher aspect. I mean, there's even a higher aspect of that, of myself in another, well, I'm not going to say dimension, on another timeline in, because they said to me, and this is just coming to me right now, call me Zena. My name is Sally, but that person that I took over from that particular timeline came into this timeline was Zena.
So Zena has a calling and Sally has a calling.
But Zena needed to come, this hopefully to my viewers and you will make sense. I was Sally who hadn't opened up to this, but all of a sudden I wasn't a walk-in as we had sometimes talked about. It was me from another aspect of myself that had a higher consciousness. That's the way to explain it. That then took on the personality of Sally with a higher consciousness, because it's all of the same
So it was
person.
a walk-in, somebody.
It was
or another
myself
dimension.
walking in. It was myself walking in, because we are somewhere else. And suddenly they're telling me that. The higher consciousness that I had, because it's aspects of ourself. It wasn't someone different. It was Sally that now hit, because we have a higher self. I'm not saying that's what took over, but suddenly I'm gaining all the aspects of my consciousness that is already in this lifetime came into be Sally and Zena.
Wow.
Oh,
That's
wow.
a lot to figure out there,
but
Sally.
He told me that, Aldo, and I just got it. I just got it here right now on the show.
Interesting. All right. Why does it, this is from Nicole from Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Why does it feel like my personality changed overnight after a big emotional event? Well, this happened to you.
It happened to me. I was going through very difficult times. I was actually admitted into hospital, which is on the part of the thing we talk about here.
Right.
Sometimes that's what happens, because we actually, I've had enough. When all this happens, you say, I'm done. I'm not saying you take your life, but you're done. You can't take anymore. So then something happens to you. And that has happened many, many times to many, many people. So I absolutely relate to that. Absolutely.
Do emotional shocks, or can emotional shocks trigger a timeline shift?
Yes, absolutely. Because if it's not, let's say we're on this timeline and we're going along and nothing is happening that we're meant to happen, we shift much quicker, much more often than we think. And it's only subtle differences. But if we're on another lifetime that's suiting, for instance, let's say the show here, the timeline that I'm on was with this show. Now, my other timeline, I didn't come to the show. I said no to the first person that wanted to introduce me to you. So, and for you too, Dawn, because we met immediately, we knew each other. We did. But it was from another, let's say another another aspect of herself that we were in. I had to be who I was, ready to do this here, and we met up.
Well, do you think our familiarity with each other is from a past life, so you feel a soul connection, or a different timeline in this dimension?
That's a great question. I wanted to say that because, yes, it's a little bit of both. Okay. We definitely knew each other. I mean, we've kind of proven that we knew each other from another lifetime, but we were meant to meet up in this lifetime. But then again, we do have free will, and we can be taken in different directions. But if you follow your gut feeling, we've met up again. I feel I know your mother. And when we met, I really feel like I knew her. And your aspect of what you've said to me, I think it's important, because a family, it doesn't have to be a blood family, but it could have been in another lifetime. We all stay together. It could be a lot more people than we even realize. We don't always incarnate, but when you do meet up in an incarnation together, you know it. You absolutely know it if you're ready to feel that.
It's funny because my mother said, she was you were my mother from another lifetime, and that's
yes.
my mother from this lifetime saying that, which means she must feel it also.
Absolutely. I'm getting completely, and my daughter, who has passed, as my viewers know, I always felt before I knew this, she was my mother from another previous lifetime.
Wow.
But you have a similarity. You feel my daughter sometimes, and your birthday's just one day different, right? A different year, but one day apart. That means that we're all together in a group family. The fact that we come in as different, like a husband, a wife, a child, it doesn't matter. We're still family. It's the bloodline.
It's totally interesting.
It is, isn't it?
Can trauma, I think you just answered it, can trauma cause someone to move into a different dimensional frequency?
Yeah, definitely. Yes.
So if someone has a negative trauma, whether it's child abuse or spousal abuse, will they shift? Can they jump
They can definitely jump out of that? Absolutely. I mean, will you recover from that? You know, that's a process, and I hate to say that we've chosen these things, but we've chosen whatever it is to learn. But sometimes, and we are guided before we come in, that this may be difficult, but you have that aspect of it. You can jump into a timeline where to you it may be, or to whomever, a little easier, let's say. That you still may have that learning experience, but maybe it could have, I'm not going to say could have been worse, because you're jumping a timeline, so it was bad, but you would jump that timeline without knowing it, because it might run a little smoother. It may not, but just knowing that you may have that available. We don't know we have that available.
Do you feel self-growth and awakening, they're different? Or they can't they're not separate and mutually exclusive.
Right.
They can be separate but mutually coming together.
Yes, because in a way it's part of the same self-growth, but then you may want self-growth on maybe a career that you're following. But I think self-growth with we choose the spirituality, know thyself, that runs, I'm going to say parallel, because it definitely goes into what we're talking about, because eventually you're going to figure it out if you're on that path. But the fact that you're figuring it out here, knowing you're figuring it out, makes it a little easier.
Earlier you talked about the fifth dimension. So as you're awakening your self-growth, you're going to another dimension, and you look back and you go, you know what, that relationship maybe doesn't serve me anymore.
Yes, that's exactly right, because you're extended you are further along, let's say, the path, but you're only further along the path if you're understanding the path that you're on, because you can still be much further if there was time, but there isn't, and still not take in what you're learning. But once you begin to learn that, everything changes, and that includes the people, places, and things that we've met when we were beginning that journey. You're not going to have anything in common with the person that you were in the beginning, because you grown into something different. You're learning more.
Change of friendship,
Change
of spouses.
Everything, Dawn. I believe that it's everything, because you don't have there's nothing to talk about. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but once you're on that learning, things that mattered to you earlier in the aspects of that with a person or a place has no meaning anymore. Oh, thank you. I think let me put that in there. It doesn't have the same meaning anymore. They just slip away. I've read that many times. I think I'm okay. Hopefully that didn't go out. Is that okay now? Yeah. It slips. It just, you know what? It's made easy for us, because what happens is whatever it is, or a situation that we were stuck into, whatever it may be, just fades away. It does. Even with us not even understanding why. It will happen when we're ready. I'm convinced of that now.
Okay, Brian from San Diego. I experience intense deja vu where I know exactly what someone is about to say. Is that a memory from another timeline?
Well, yes, it could be one of a few things. It is a memory, and it actually has happened. So let's say the different aspect of ourselves, and I kind of understand that, because I was listening to a program a little while ago on Gaia about this. It could be happening in another aspect of ourselves, but let's say that aspect, it's already happened, that situation. So we're getting memories. I think I'm covering myself up with a mic, so maybe we're not. Is it
still clinking?
Is that okay? I think so. Yes, we're fine. So it's taking me out of it a little, but thank you for letting me know. Okay, that memory is in this lifetime now. So if it's like a crossover, they're using the word a bleed through, which is something I don't usually say. It's a bleed through from another memory or aspect of herself that's already happened, and it could be may have happened. There's no time, so you will remember.
Deja vu is a memory or awareness?
It's both. It's a memory and it's awareness, because you're remembering it. So you kind of, the idea that you can actually say to yourself, I think I know, and you know the conversation, we've had that before, because a lot of people have had that, when I kind of know my next word. So it's a memory. It's a memory.
What if you see yourself, before I went to France, I saw the bridge, the Seine, a restaurant on one of the banks, and like a lock area. In my mind, I see this. So I go to France and I see the restaurant and the Seine and the lock bridge. Is that from another life? Is that a deja vu from another life?
I think it could be either one. It could definitely be a memory, because I do believe that we've had a lifetime in Paris, in France. So that could be a memory, or it could be, because actually it's all going on. This is even harder to even talk about, and it's all happening anyway now.
So we
everything.
can have memories from a past life that come into this life.
Yes, because it's all happening. This is pretty advanced, and it's hard to even describe, but with the help of my guides, I'm beginning to. Everything that's happening now is happening. That's why you can go into the past, present, and future, because it's all going on. That's way out. It's difficult to understand. But if we can accept that, just say, oh, okay, I don't understand it, but I accept that, then it'll become a little easier.
Wow, it gets complicated.
It does
right?
get complicated. Yeah.
All right, Angela from Naples, Florida. I swear time skips for me. Hours feel like minutes. Is time speeding up, or am I shifting dimensions?
Well, I've heard this before by people that understand this, that are a little advanced. Time apparently is speeding up. It really is. I mean, how many people say, especially before the holidays, oh my goodness, is it Christmas again?
Right.
Did we say that years ago? I mean, we accepted that we might always say it goes by fast, but I really do believe it is speeding up because there's no time. It's just maybe ourselves, our consciousness is speeding. That's the best way to put it. Our consciousness is speeding up.
Or could this be dimensional thinning?
It could be. It could be. That's a good point of view too. Yes, because if we're thinning, which is perfect actually to carry in with what we're talking about, because now you're living, if you want to say, in a different kind of reality. In a way, it's the same, but our reality of things. Oh my God, this is perfect. Our reality of time, of existence, of all these things are changing, adapting to where we're going so that we see it. Thank you. I am so there. They're explaining that to us. So it's when I said the word consciousness, I felt very comfortable using that word because our consciousness is shifting into another reality of time.
Now, does everyone shift at the same time? Or are we all shifting differently?
Well, what we know as, because we have time, it's different. Yes, absolutely, because someone may not be ready. But that really isn't the true reality. But we're not. We're making this up. It's like a dream. But that's what we have chosen to do. We're all awake, actually. We all are. But we come to understand that in our reality here in Earth at different times. So that could be another lifetime. That makes, oh my gosh, by me doing this show, I'm learning more.
All right, Kevin from Minneapolis. I've noticed repeating days or patterns that feel scripted. Could that be a timeline loop?
Well, yes, it could be, because you're caught up in that. But then again, if you figure that we are actually scripted because we figure out where we're going and what we're doing. So what we're doing can become familiar, but it feels like we're using a script to do it. We're not really. But
is the timeline a loop, or is it a line?
It's a timeline is a traveling. We're going along, let's say, we're going along a path. So in art, we don't know what we don't know. And I love that expression because that path is eternity. We come back to learn more. Do we come back in the same place on that path? Do we jump forward, or do we go back, depending on what we've chosen to learn in our lifetime?
All right, so is repetition, coming back, an invitation to make a new choice?
Yes, absolutely, because we've given ourselves another lifetime in which to do that. Now we can have it dormant, which Aldo told me that I did my two prior lives. He told me that I knew more than I know. Well, maybe I've reached that now over the years that I knew already in another lifetime. Truthfully, he told me I'd had enough of it. I didn't want to do it anymore. I had a lot of responsibilities, as you know, in that lifetime. But I chose to remember. It never leaves you. It's whether you begin to remember it in our lifetimes here.
Remembering.
When it's ready, when you're ready.
Can you break a repeating energetic pattern?
Absolutely, 100%, but you have to know what it is. You got to know the scenario. The scenario will keep playing out in a different scenario. But when you begin to realize you're actually doing the same thing over and over again, the same consequences for doing that, but it's different people, places, and things. When you finally realize what you're doing and that you've repeated and into other lifetimes, if you don't get it, you got to stop, Dawn. Me too. Anybody, because once you owe yourself, not you personally, but I'm just using that, you have to stop doing what you're doing because it's insanity again. But the way that we begin to understand it is when we begin to realize that. It could be anything. It could be me doing this a million times, picking up a glass. That's stupid. What meaning? But there may be a meaning behind it. Doesn't matter what it is, but once you begin to see that, you really, we owe ourselves and the people that are helping us. I realized that a little bit the other day, actually. I'm not doing a service to myself or anybody if you continue doing the same thing over and over again with people, places, or things.
But that's growth versus a timeline shift.
Yes,
right?
that's self-growth, but that goes on to all other aspects of ourselves in different timelines. Because whilst we shift a timeline, it may not be that much ahead of the timeline that we're in. But if you make a conscious effort to do that shift and go somewhere else, it will continue, I believe. This is what they're telling me in all aspects of our timeline. We may not be as ahead in some timelines as we are in another one, but I think it shifts. I think it shifts.
All right, Samantha from Brooklyn, New York. I met someone who felt instantly familiar, like I'd known them forever. Could we be connected across timelines?
Yes, because everything really that we're talking about sums that up. We are all connected. We're actually all connected, but we've kind of put it in little bubbles. We have our own soul family. We have our own soul family here. We keep repeating with our friends, family, different. We just choose a different body, basically. Even sex. We don't come back always as the same sex. So we do this. It's a learning growth. I think it's like, and we've heard them people say this, it's like going to school and then you graduate, but that doesn't mean you don't stop learning, you still continue learning.
Right, she asks, are these relationships meant to last or just activate us?
A little bit of both. Right. Aldo activated me. We had a great friendship. It wasn't necessarily like a husband and wife thing, it was a friendship that I had. I think we choose the best when we meet people of what type of relationship will help us best. If I'd had, which I had with Aldo many times from the lifetimes that he knew me, a different type of relationship, but the best one for him to come in to teach me was to be my teacher here, the way that it works out.
Do you ever think that maybe you and Aldo were from another galaxy?
Well,
if he was your teacher there, but you had to bring it here?
I actually do know that.
How weird is that?
Yeah, no, it's not weird at all, because I had him answer that question to me while he was still in physicality here. Yes, he used to teach, and my girlfriend Marita, who you have not actually met, we were together in another lifetime. If she's listening to the show, and you know this, I believe it was Tibet. And we were listening to Aldo talking, because I believe he was very advanced in what he had been doing. So he was advanced in that lifetime that we were together. So he taught me then. And Marita, if you're listening, he taught us both, we know that.
Interesting. All right, Heather from Portland, Oregon. Can people exist in our lives only for certain timelines and then disappear?
Yes, absolutely, because they come in for a purpose, and maybe it was for this lifetime. And you know what? It might have been to help us do that jump to it. Well, we jump in timelines all the time, and we're with the same people, but they have different, or they disappear in one timeline.
So they say, how do we recognize when someone's role is complete? Do we hold on longer than we should?
Well, that's human nature, right? We do that because we don't always like change. But I believe if you have something to work through with somebody, if you haven't really worked it through, it's going to happen again, as we were saying, in a different scenario, but a different person. It's still going to happen, that same scenario. But it's like karma. It'll keep coming back until we get it.
Robert from Sedona, Arizona. Some places feel powerful and emotional when I visit them. Are certain locations portals or dimensional hotspots?
Well, he should know Sedona. Right? Yes, and Sedona here is too, but Sedona has many of those places. Yeah, it's known for that. Arizona, a lot of these places. Yeah.
So you think they can feel it's like a portal? What's it, a portal?
Yes, it is a portal. We have, there's many portals. I'm understanding more and more about that, because that's how we get visited through, being aliens that come here. I'm going to call it time travel, but you get there very fast. That's a whole nother subject, but we can go to different planets. It doesn't take us years to get there. They can come very fast. Again, there's no lifetime, there's no timing. but I'm losing it a little bit. Maybe they don't want me to talk about it. Okay, but
we
you
won't
can
talk about
travel through backwards and forwards, and there are places in this world that are known for that. You can get stuck there too, but that doesn't happen too often.
All right, Debbie from Delray Beach. Can land hold memories from past lives or alternate realities?
Yes, absolutely, because they're imprints that we set. I mean, even maybe somebody that was sitting on this chair, I'm getting sometimes we can, if we're really in tune, we can get the vibrations, and I can tell you who may have done a show here last week on this chair. I don't choose to do that, but it is possible.
What do you think, I know we only have a few minutes, your collective consciousness, if you ask them about what's happening right now in the state of our country?
Well, which we were talking, it's absolute chaos, and we don't, just turn on the news. But as we were saying earlier on the show, on your other show, the chaos, it has to get worse. We've heard this many times over situations before it can get better. First of all, you've really got to recognize what's going on and be aware of it. And how do you keep going on doing this? No, we become aware.
Can sensitive people tap into this more easily?
Well, they're more aware of it, as you and I are empaths, yes, because physically it can hurt us, but we tap into a lot of good and bad vibrations. It works both ways. There's no discrimination about that. If something is bad and you walk into a room, you feel it. But on the flip side, if something is going on great, you feel it too. So it's our choice. I have chosen, as best I can, to walk out of that lower vibrational energy because it's affecting me more and more. I get in tune with this, it's having more of an effect on me.
Can we travel timelines when we sleep or astral project?
Well, yes, because as I say in my book, I astral projected. I was going 3 times a week for nearly a year. If that wasn't a wake-up call, right? Yes, and I did that in my sleep, but that doesn't mean that I'm not doing something now because I'm in tune with my spirits.
All right, let's see. Faith from Raleigh, North Carolina. Why do so many people feel awake all of a sudden? Right, suddenly everyone's psychic. Have you noticed? Everyone has vision.
That's this is actually what's happening, and this is the good part of this, because Mother Nature itself, the Earth, is shifting. We're shifting, so the vibrational energies that are coming through to us are here to help us all wake up. Now, that's not necessarily going to happen. It takes time, but more and more people, well, eventually they will, but the timing, as we've set time up, more and more people are coming in tune with what's going on with Earth. Because if you think Gaia, we can call Earth, it's had enough. So more and more people are touching a higher frequency. We can talk openly about this. 20, 30 years ago, someone might have shown up in the studio and say, what are you putting out on the air? That's not, well, I'll say it's not going to happen. It's more unlikely that it will happen.
There's a lot of people turning more inward through meditation and through self-validation.
Absolutely.
Is this because of what's happening in the cosmos? Because of what's happening on the timelines? Why do you think that is?
Because it's a combined energy, because we're putting out an energy, if you want to say, for what's going on, let's hear, because we're coming more in we're not so afraid of, like, woohoo, we're going out in space. There are still people that are stuck in that, and that's fine too. But I think a lot of people, and I have talked to people about how I used to talk, and I ask questions, because in the beginning with past lives, people, oh, I don't want to know. But today I say, and I respect people for not wanting to understand, but I would say the majority of people that I talk to, and I ask them about previous lives, past lives, they say if they don't understand it maybe, but they have curiosity today.
Interesting. All right. So I have to ask, what is Elizabeth saying about all of this?
Elizabeth loved this show. She said this is great because she had an impact on us talking, especially right now that, oh my God, is she saying the two of you doing this together? She's loving what she's hearing. And Elizabeth, for people who don't know, is actually, she's more your guide than mine, but she has, I think she's combined her energies with Aldo. Oh my goodness, I feel that. So that they're both, well, as many other people are, and they're so happy that we brought this topic up, because they feel that it's going out into, because they're more aware of it, into the airways for the people, even if it's just 3 or 4 people that have heard something today, that it was very informative, and that's what she's saying.
Raising vibrational energy. Right?
Yeah.
How do people get your book?
Okay, I'm going to leave that aspect of it because I'm still there a little.
You can scan the QR code at the bottom of the screen or go to Amazon or Author House and get the book Call Me Zena, A Journey
Into the Unknown. I got that. And YouTube too, right? It's
YouTube,
better.
You can follow Sally's shows. You can follow Call Me Zena at YouTube, like and share on social media. Yes, Facebook, they only last for 30 days, but YouTube does stay there. Every Monday, Sally's here doing a live show, always available for callers. So give her a call at 888-994-4995, Studio A, or write in. You're very good at answering your messages, I've seen, which is lovely.
Yes, yeah. Thank you, Dawn, and thank you for co-hosting my show here. I appreciate it, really appreciate that. And actually, my guys are telling you, thank you. They're saying thank you, especially Elizabeth. Bye-bye. See you guys next week.
You have been watching Call Me Zena with your host, Sally Barnard. As an artist, author, and spiritual experiencer, know that you can always seek me out for resources by visiting artbysallybarnard.com. Join us next week, Mondays at 2:30.